All right. Welcome, everybody. We've made it through 14 now. We're at 14.
We're at 14.
We haven't made it through 14 of the PB Med podcast. I'm your host, Dustin, here with my co-host, Brent. How's it going, Brent?
It's good, man. Just reveling in my victory from beating you.
Dude, we're starting that at the very beginning. I put it on here to talk
earlier.
about. All right. So we built up on last week, and if I had more time, I was going to build like a little trophy or something. But I will congratulate Brent on his first weekly victory in the beer games. So we did a bunch of drilling and whatever today of all the paddles that we have to test. And at the very end, we picked our favorite. We were allowed one sub in case we weren't feeling it. But we did a game to 11 backhand dinks, game to 11 forehand dinks, and then skinny singles.
As our dream breaker, if needed. Yeah.
It was needed.
It was needed. I was surprised, but it was needed. Yeah.
You know, not surprising. Brent beat me left-handed, like on backhand to backhand.
On the left,
yeah. Yeah, and then it was a slaughter fest when I was on the right. Brent was hanging in there. Actually, I think we went like 14-12 or something.
It was 13-11 or 14-12. Yeah.
And then we get to the singles, or the skinny singles, and Brent's like, are we going to film this? I'm like, and he's never asked before. I'm like, why do you want to film this? As if
I had a good feeling about it.
As if he thought he had the advantage. So anyways, nonetheless, Brent won 2 of those 3. He won the skinny singles at the end of the Dream Breaker. So I bought today's beer. Congratulations on your beer games win.
Thank you. It was the best that 𝒕𝒐 had to offer. Tropical Beer Hug, Imperial IPA, Goose Island. You know, first time trying it. Solid. It's nice.
Yeah, Brent brought him in on his way. He stopped.
Yeah.
I had to Venmo him for this weekend, last week, actually. I'm doing the Wicked Weed Freak of Nature IPA. This is my first time trying this one, too, actually. It's pretty good.
You like it?
Yeah. It's not bad.
I'm not a huge IPA fan, but I do like Imperial IPAs, if that makes sense. More like a malty, less hoppy. I'm not a huge fan of like overly hoppy drinks, and IPAs can be overly hoppy.
Yeah, I mean, growing up Mormon, I didn't have my first like beer until I had my first drink on my honeymoon. Actually, I was holding out for an occasion.
It's a good one.
So that acquired taste, I feel like, is what I'd say of like hoppiness. Didn't come till much later in life, and it's still not there in a lot of ways. So I don't really like the hoppy stuff as much as I like the light stuff.
Yeah,
and like the sugary stuff a little bit. I'm starting to veer away from the sugary stuff, but it's still there, like ciders and sours.
I like sours. Ciders, I can't drink many of those because there's just too much sugar. Like, it just hurts my stomach.
Yeah, well, you got to drink a bunch of water after, because then you get sick.
Yeah.
Whatever next day. So, anyways, congratulations, Brent.
Thank you.
Also, before we get into more pickleball stuff, well, this is pickleball stuff.
All right.
Wanted to give a shout out to 2 friends of ours, Arty. A lot of people know him from the Discord. Actually, his Discord name has Arty in it.
I think so.
It's like Seriously Arty or something like that. It's very similar. But anyways, Arty's building a computer for me because I suck. I tried starting to build a computer, and I thought it was cool. And I did not make it very far.
Did you get into analysis paralysis?
Whatever it is, I made it to like not... I put a couple things together, and I'm like, I don't know if I did that right. So I was talking to Arty about it, and... you know, he's been in the community reviews a couple of times, and he was like, I do that. So we're going to trade goods. We're going to trade some paddles or backpacks or something for the build. And then John at Speak Pickleball, shout out to John. We're making a website together, PB Med website. I think I did get pickleballmedicine.com. I had to buy it. Yeah, for anybody out there, here's a word from person who had to learn this the hard way. If you start anything, like especially like anything on YouTube or social media, like go on and pay the $5 or whatever to get the domain name, because I was like, you know, a couple of years into doing this, and then I learned that other people will go on and take it and take anything close to it, and then you have to pay to get the rights to that domain name. So we had to buy pickleballmedicine.com in order to use it, and that's a pain. But anyways, thanks to John, and that should be done soon. He's got some first looks for me later this week.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah. We're gonna have like a database, and you know, like all the stats and whatever of all the paddles would be good for me and good for people to access. So
will there be like an archive of video footage of me winning all the beer games, or is that not
all the inaugural beer games? Yes, all the subsequent beer games. good luck. Good luck.
Step up your game.
You better hope that we play backhand every time. But we can get into it now. So got a couple of like gear related things. This is actually a funny one. So Komodo, we've got a few of their paddles today. We've got the Komodo Bio Ball.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting concept.
Yeah. So you may or may not know this, but pickleballs are not biodegradable, right? They're made of, plastic or some sort of mixture, polymer, or whatever. And I don't know what they did to make the Bio Ball here, but apparently I think the website claims that you can put it in the garbage, whatever it, and it, fully, dissolves within 3 to 5 years. So
wow.
You can throw it away and it's not going to like stick around in the landfill forever.
Yeah. Awesome.
Brett and I were drilling last week and we were just using Vulcans because everybody around here is a Vulcan snob. Because that's what they use at PPAs. And I just put one of these like in like my pocket and I started hitting with it just to like try and put Brent through like a blind test. But it didn't work so well.
Yeah. I notice balls because I am a little bit of a ball snob, admittedly.
Ball snob, yes.
Yes, ball snob. And so, yeah, anything that's not the Vulcan V2, I do end up noticing. But that being said, like, yeah, I did notice it, but I didn't notice a ton of difference in that ball versus a Vulcan versus, a Franklin. Like, it's on the same plane as those balls. It's not really like you're playing with just this ball that feels really different and hits weird. It's not a piece of shit.
It's fine.
And it's nice that it biodegrades. Like, I think it would be fine. Like, if you're used to playing with Franklins or just,
anything in that realm of decent.
Yeah.
Like we were doing just fine with it. I drilled with Fletcher with these and they were fine. I haven't broke one yet. I'd say like the durability seems good. I haven't put a ton of time on them, but they seem fine. I did weigh them against a couple of balls. I had a used Vulcan, so you'd think a Vulcan would be lighter after use, right? Because it wears down. So the used Vulcan, which was just right before we came down here, was 26.1 grams, and the Komodo was 25.7. So it's lighter than a Vulcan.
Interesting.
I kind of thought it would be heavier, but it has, 40 CNC cut holes in here, just like a Vulcan would have, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fine ball. Yeah. And it's good ethically, I suppose.
It is. And that's something that always gets me when I start thinking about it too long is all the pickleballs that just I use and crush and throw in the trash. Compounded, if you think about it, with just the people in your area. You multiply your use times 100, 200. And it's like, and those never go away. I know there's some like pickleball recycling programs out there. Like I think one of our local parks, Ephesus, has a little bin
I've seen that.
for pickleball recycling. I don't know what they do with them.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think from what I've heard, it's pretty hard to recycle them. They don't biodegrade.
I don't think most people do anyways.
No, everybody just throws them in the trash.
Throws them away because they probably don't believe in it. If it's sitting right there, I could see people throwing it in the garbage just like, don't do that.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah.
So we got the Komodo ball. Also Ethos pickleball. So they came out with a grip some number of months ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. A 𝐵𝒂𝒄𝒅𝒏 grip. And this is it. You replace like your undergrip with it. I liked it. I'm not really like a textured grip kind of person, but you don't use like 𝐵𝒂𝒄𝒅, used them much before? You're kind of a purist.
I am,
purist.
Coming from tennis, like I just want one overgrip on the paddle and an octagonal shape and it to be semi-firm.
Brent's like complaining if it's like got a little ridge in it. But anyways, so a couple of complaints people had with this one, although it was really nice, is it's, I wouldn't say, it's both left and right-handed. So if you put your hand this way, so it doesn't fit, but if it rotates, now it fits for a right-hander, or it fit that way. So like if you're just like flipping your paddle, and it's not exactly 360 degrees or flips, like you might land on the wrong grip side, and it was a little heavy. So this one, 23.2 grams, moderately more heavy than a 𝐵𝒂𝒄𝒅, but not much. So they now have these new grips. They're lighter. So the first one was 23.2. This one's 18.4. So it's reduced its grip by almost 25%. Just ballparking it. And then, sorry, Justin Barton, I think he's left-handed. These are right-handed only. So if you flip it or whatever, it's like grooved for your hand. I haven't played with them yet, but they're taking pre-orders, I don't know, in the next week or two. I think they follow the same pricing scheme as the other ones. They're like $30 or $24 for one, which is same as 𝐵𝒂𝒄𝒅, but they reduce the more you get. And you can use like discount codes to take 15 or something % off. But if you like undergrips, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
well, screw all the lefties. They need something to bring them down. They already have too big of an advantage in pickleball as it is. So.
Bastards. I can't even play the right anymore.
I know. If I send something down the middle, it just gets destroyed. Like, I hate playing against lefties.
Wherever you guys are.
I like playing with them, though.
We're out for you.
It's fun to play with them.
That's right. And let's get into some paddles then. Let's start with the TMPR Nimbus. This is an interesting one. So this isn't... a couple of people have played with this. I was super excited to get one. So here we've got the TMPR Nimbus. So technically, overall, it falls in the hybrid shape category, I believe. It's like roughly 16.25 inches, 16 millimeters thick, but it's got this, really exaggerated handle. They said it's 5.5 on the website, which I think is really, really underselling it. Like, you can fit. It almost reminds me of the 𝒂𝒂𝒊𝒏 is what I say. It's like 𝒂𝒂𝒊𝒏 or even like super court like, but you can, and it's got more of Brent's favorite, ridged grips here.
I know. It didn't bother me too much today. I didn't notice it too much.
Yeah, these played pretty well. They call the surface like a carbon or a cloud weave or something like that. I don't even really know what that means, but it looks Kevlar-ish.
Yeah, I would say, if I had to guess, I would say it's some kind of Kevlar mixture or pure Kevlar. Not sure.
It's almost kind of like it plays like a standard shaped paddle if the face is the way that it is, but with a really long handle, so it's kind of reachy and whippy. You know what I mean? What'd you think of this paddle, Brent?
I thought it played better than I was expecting it to, just because of what you mentioned about the paddle face itself and the shape. It does look more wide body than hybrid, and we've talked about this that
Brent is not a wide body.
I don't jive with wide bodies. So when I brought it out and started hitting with it, I was like, that's not bad. It plays more like a hybrid to me, and it technically is a hybrid, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought it was... Hold on, I got notes because I can't remember. We hit way too many paddles today. So it had like this kind of stable, softer feel to me. I thought it had really good touch on like volleys and resets. The pop was decent. I didn't get a ton of power out of it, but I didn't hit a lot of drives and
pretty
serves.
much stock with them today.
Yeah, and they were all stock.
And it's very light, so like it's got plenty of room to customize.
Yes.
But it wasn't super... overpowered.
Yeah,
sure.
Nothing stood out as far as like power and pop, right? They're decent. They weren't... I don't think they were lacking. It's just... I don't think it was quite to the level that I was wanting or that I'm used to, but I think, like you said, it's so maneuverable. You can add weight to get it to the level of plow through or pop that you're looking for. It was probably, out of all the paddles we hit today, probably my third favorite out of the probably 10 that we hit today, which was very surprising.
Yeah, which I say we had some good ones and some weird ones today. So third is not bad.
It's not.
Third's a good for today's list.
Yeah, right now it's just kind of like middle of the road middle of the road power, pop, and control, I would guess. Very maneuverable, and I thought it was pretty solid out of the box. Like, it felt like it was very stable. When I say solid, I mean like stable.
Yeah. I agree with pretty much all of that. I didn't have any problems controlling it. It felt really nice, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't stiff like a lot of Kevlar weaves tend to be, so might argue against the cloud weave being Kevlar. Heck, I don't know.
Maybe it's titanium. I don't know.
Could be some other weave. I don't think it's titanium, but it felt like you said, really maneuverable, really light. Control was good. I thought the spin was really nice as well, and that probably has a lot to do with its maneuverability level. I was like trying to think to myself, like, would I call this control or would I call it all court? But I think it's probably on the border there. If you weight it up, it'd probably easily be in like the all court, the low all court. But overall, pretty good. These sell for $200. The PB Med code gets $20 off plus free shipping. So $180 for the paddle. What do you think? For the 180?
I would need to add weight to it to give a final opinion on if it's worth 180. I think it's a good all-around paddle. At that price point, it's on the edge for me. Maybe with weight, maybe. Yeah, but it's solid. I like it.
I think it's possible. Yeah, I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I think it is a really good. So I could play with it and be just fine.
Yeah,
but I usually play best with more control-oriented paddles, anyways. So.
I feel like everybody does. They're just lying to themselves when they say they need a power paddle.
You know who you are. You know who you are out there. Okay.
Justin's got it figured out. He knew.
Well, that's funny because he's been maining the Neonic Flare Prime X for a long time. I mean, I don't know if he still is or not, but I wouldn't call that a control paddle. But
it's true.
Well, also that's probably why he's like. It's probably why he sucks.
I didn't say that.
You tell him I said that. You tell him tell him what's up. Tell him what's up, Justin. He doesn't suck. He's fine. We'll find out at the nerdy tourney.
About a month from now. No, less than a month.
I'm sure he's a great player. Put the Nimbus in his hand and he'll be fine. Yeah. Just kidding around. We love Justin.
Yeah, he's going to wreck us in the tournament now.
Yeah. We're going to eat our words. Okay, so let's move on. We've got some new paddles from Volair. This is quite a mixed bag, my friend.
That's an understatement.
Gosh. Okay, so these all are the V.1F paddles, and I don't know if that's short for anything, but that's the information we were given. They have I'll just show them. So there's 4 of them. So I'll show the 2 normal ones.
The unboxing on this was quite.
What the hell?
Quite surprising.
So I'll say like overall.
Do you think there's 2 normal ones in there?
Yes,
I think there's one normal one.
Brent's such a. Anyways,
such a
this
purist.
is a normal one, Brent. This is the titanium or whatever the PET fiber, infused paddle. This is the Mach 2 Forza, essentially, the titanium version of the Mach 2 Forza. This is the first normal one, 16 millimeters. It's got kind of a purplish. I don't know if it'll show up.
Yeah, it is a little
video
purple.
Or not, but it's got the purple. And all of these are just
super gritty
as it could be. Like, holy frick. And that's one thing I like about titanium, really. It's too bad that they kind of got the rep that they did.
I know.
Speaking of Justin, and then you have the hybrid version, which is I don't know the exact specs of the Mach 1 Forza, but I imagine it's the same footprint. Again, 16 millimeters and titanium with that purplish shiny tint. And fun fact, this was Brent's pick for his paddle of choice today, right? After hitting the others, would you still say this was your favorite of today?
Yeah, even though I subbed it out in our beer game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like halfway through him losing the forehand battle, he subbed it out for the C45
because I knew it wasn't my skill level losing to Dustin. It had to be the paddle.
And then he subsequently went on to lose.
But yeah, if I
bring more paddles,
if I had to pick,
should you go to the number 3?
No. Stuck with the number 2 C45. Got it done eventually. But I would say that hybrid was my favorite of the day.
It is really good actually. I could have subbed that in singles maybe. And then so we've got the V.1F XLW is what they call it. So this has got this freaking ginormous
6.5 inch handle.
Yeah, like full freaking tool hands. And the same weird face. It's almost kind of Super Court like, except for more extreme. Like the original Super Court.
The original
had that
Super
weird
Court,
long And then you've got the XLL. So this is like crazy long and it's kind of narrow. I heard I actually watched the podcast on Pickleball Tech Guy this morning, and I actually heard Rafa's co-host Aaron, I think is his name. He said it reminded him of the Proline Energy.
Yeah,
and I could see that.
Yeah,
it's kind of like knife-like or like the J7K.
Yes,
and I brought that down somewhere.
Or maybe even like the Pulse E as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the same shape as the Pulse E.
Yeah.
Like if you laid them over top of each other, like the length is the same except for the handle is even longer.
Yeah.
On the Volair, you can see
it's even more extreme on the Volair.
Yeah,
there's like, less paddle area on the Volair.
But the swing weight is still crazy high.
130.
130.
Yeah.
But yeah, these all, just generally speaking, spin just incredibly well.
They do, yeah.
The grit is just nuts. Like, if you put any sort of upstroke on it, it's just going to
it
come right
dips
down.
Really hard.
Yeah. The 2 normal shapes, the Mach 2 Forza shape and the Mach 1 Forza shape, essentially, those are going to go for $200. And then they typically do 10% off codes. And these are all releasing on May 9th. So, like, very soon. Yeah. They're like, hey, here's some paddles. We're releasing in a few days. Hope you like them. The other ones, they're released on the same day, but those are 180 before codes. So imagine another 10% off. What'd you think of these, Brent?
Yeah, so I mainly hit the hybrid today because I almost refuse. Well, I didn't flat out refuse to hit the little pizza flipper.
As bad as Rafa.
And
he's like, I won't be caught dead. I'm like holding this. That's what he's saying.
Can I see that? The really weird one, the 𝒂𝒊𝒏. Yeah. So like,
That's a mini pizza flipper.
I'm 6'3", 225. If you see me wielding this thing on the court, it's gonna look so weird, and like. Just the length of this handle is just like,
imagine how much lead tape you could put on that before it got heavy.
Why?
You could wrap that in like 3 grams per inch and it would be light probably.
Like who needs
that'd be a hammer, dude.
6.5 inch, probably 7 inch of clearance handle. Like a pro basketball player like Tyler Hansborough maybe needs this for 2 hands. The whole room. I don't know. But
they said that Dylan Frazier had a hand in like developing and designing these. Is what Ryan said from Volair. Did he design that one? Is that Dylan Frazier?
I don't know who designed this one.
Dylan.
And this could be like just preemptive hate because I didn't hit it. So I don't know.
I did, and it's actually pretty fun.
But this,
it's very whippy.
It looks so weird.
It's like the proportion of sweet spot to paddle face is actually really good on that.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I had a lot of fun, and I was kicking your ass with that.
I can't remember that ever happening. But
if Brent ever doesn't remember, it's usually because he has selective memory and forgets stuff like that.
Out of all the shit I just talked about, that paddle, I really did like the hybrid.
Yeah,
today.
This is awesome. It really is a good paddle.
Yeah, as Dustin was saying, like it's you can shape the ball really well with that, and I'm assuming it's mostly due to the really gritty texture on there. I don't think there's anything going on with the core. It's not a Gen 3. It's a thermoform Gen 2. So like I don't think it's from the core. I think it is from the face and from that weave that's on there. But I did notice that like hitting it myself and then receiving the balls that you were hitting when they would hit the ground, they would just pop off.
So good.
But so and the construction as well. It's 2 layers of fiberglass and 1 of carbon fiber.
It's not clear to me where they're at, but there is 2 layers of fiberglass that they said.
Yeah, after we hit today, I was thinking about it, and I thought that the paddle played softer than I was expecting. Because when I read that it has 2 layers of fiberglass and 1 of carbon fiber, I was expecting it to just be really harsh, really poppy off of it.
Literally said, "This sounds like everything I hate."
Yes, I did. Besides the 16 really millimeter,
stiff, really poppy. And he went into it with a bad.
I was a little pessimistic.
The well was poisoned.
It was a little poisoned, and then there was an antidote thrown in there, which was it's a really good paddle. So I'm thinking that the carbon fiber surface is the closest to the top, and then it's so from the core up, it's fiberglass, carbon fiber,
and then the PET,
and then
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, or maybe like a very thin layer of fiberglass on top.
Yeah, like a CFC layup.
Maybe like.
It doesn't feel like there's fiberglass really close to the surface, even though there might be. It doesn't feel that way to me when I hit with it. Yeah,
it definitely hits a lot harder than the. I don't know if you ever hit the Mach 2 Forza or the Mach 1 Forza, the original ones.
I hit the Mach 2. It's pretty control plush.
Yeah, these hit much harder.
They do. Yeah.
That was my first thing. I was like, whoa. It's not Gen 3 pop, but I was like, well, that's pretty nice. That's a pretty poppy, like not in an uncontrollable way too, and it felt like moderately soft and very stable.
Yeah.
So it was pleasant.
It was. I mentioned in my notes today, I said that the power was okay. I didn't get a ton of like plow through power on it. I'd say it's somewhere in that all court category for power. I felt more pop off of it than I felt power, which was to be expected, I guess, with 2 layers of fiberglass there. As always, I feel like every paddle needs a little bit of weight. I don't think it's necessary for this one. I think you can play this hybrid stock out of the box and it'd be fine because it does come in at like 8.1 with a like pretty high teen swing weight, 117, 118 swing weight. So for a hybrid, that's a little high, right? And the twist weight correlates with that as well. I think it's like 6.5, 6.6 twist weight, which is pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I don't think it needs weight for stabilization. I think I would be looking more for like the plow through power. So you'd probably
put it like at the bottom part.
Yeah, probably like the 4 and 8 spot for me is where I'd put it.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably what I'd do.
Yeah. Even at 118 swing weight, it didn't feel heavy in the hand. It felt pretty maneuverable. I felt like I had pretty good control and command for the pop level that it has. Yeah. And then the shape. It just
that's kind of Brent's shape. Oh, you mean the shape
of the ball?
Yeah, okay.
You can shape the ball really well with that.
Just incredible, really.
Yeah, and I was just
really cool.
I was just impressed with, it's not overly plush or anything. It's just softer and plusher than I was expecting.
That is like a really nice thing about titanium. Is it whatever you want to call it? It does have like a texture to it typically. And I know they use the same peel ply on top, so you've got that overtop layer. But for whatever reason, it seems to be like high on these. I pointed this out to Brent, and I'll echo what you said. I think the whatever Mach 1 Forza shape, it's a solid paddle, really good. And the Mach 2 Forza shape is also really good. I think your Mach 2 Forza lovers are gonna really like this. I think you're gonna be able to spin this one more, get just a little bit more bite. I think the look is good. But I don't know why, but for whatever reason, squeeze that. I know you didn't play that shape much today, but holy hell.
It's very squishy.
I think that's a miss. That the grip is a huge miss. That's going to need to be replaced. I could not play with that. Like, I got on the really long shape, a ton of leverage, like a ton of power.
Yeah.
But, like, the first thing that happens when I, like, drive my wrist or my elbow is, like, it's not the paddle moving, it's me imprinting into that freaking pillow grip.
Yep.
But, like, if you compare that to the hybrid here, it's not as bad for whatever reason.
No, it's really not.
I think it looks like the same grip, but I don't know why it feels so different. I don't know if it's a different insert.
Is the other long grip the same way?
The other weird paddle is kind of like that, too. Well, I don't know why.
What was the point of both of these really long grip paddles,
I don't know. It's kind of strange.
This one, it does have a little cushion, but not nearly the sink-in feeling you could live with that.
I'm not sure if I would have noticed if it was only on that one, but for sure I noticed it on the long one. It's so squishy.
Yeah,
it's too much.
I didn't notice it actually. Now that you mention it, when I was playing with it today, we did it before. I squeezed this one before and was like, oh my god.
You're like, what the hell?
But
then
this
we played
one I
with
didn't.
The hybrid model.
I didn't notice it when I was playing with the hybrid.
Yeah, and it's fine. Yeah. So overall, but I think. Really good battles. If you're into the niche
favorite
shapes,
of the day.
I think Ivan from Pickleball Apes, he likes the weird.
Ivan does like the weird shapes.
He would probably like that weird knife shape paddle. And if you like the Super Court, which I did,
the original Super Court,
I think the weird shape one is fun if you can get over the vanity.
I don't think I can. I'm too vain.
Otherwise, it's not like super new tech. It's just a well done paddle on the same molds as the previous ones.
Yeah. You know how bad I'd feel if somebody just whooped me with that 𝑥LW over there? Just took
you
that out.
You probably wouldn't remember, it sounds like, if that's what you're saying.
Just took it out and just took me to school with that. I'd feel so bad about myself. Like, you just beat me with like a trainer paddle almost is how I would feel about that.
Would you feel bad enough to like bring the beer next time?
Yeah, if you can beat me with that 𝑥LW, I'll bring you like a case of claws.
It's on.
A case of berry claws or whatever you normally drink.
Beer Games 2 is on.
Dustin has to use
whatever shape Brent wants to use that's freaking normal versus function.
I'm using my main versus Dustin's 𝑥LW.
Function over look. What is it? What's the saying? There's a saying about that.
Yes, there is.
Form over function. No, that's not it. That's the opposite.
It's a function over form, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm about. I just winning games.
I'm usually more about function over form, but that form is just way too off for me.
The form is overpowered.
It's way too much.
Too taught there.
I can't.
Okay,
I wouldn't play good. I'd just be like, everybody's staring at me.
About it.
Yeah.
Well, when you look bad, you feel bad. What can I say?
You do.
Okay, let's go to our next one. So we've got 3 paddles from Komodo. We talked about their ball earlier. So we've got the Komodo Katana. This is an interesting one, and then we got the Furies. Oh yeah. So I got the 14 down. This is the Komodo Fury 14. There's also a 16. It's got different colorways, but I like the blue better, so that's the one that I'm going to show.
I like the red better.
It's just 16. Are you serious? You like the red better than this one? Wow. Gosh.
There's something about red paddles that I enjoy.
Just don't put your credibility on the podcast on Brent about this one. So
it's yin and yang, man. We can't agree. If we agreed on everything, it would just be boring.
Oh yeah, reach behind you, Brent. I have an original katana. You see that one? Yeah. So I hit with the katana like a couple. Has it been a couple years ago? So the thing about Komodo as a whole, like the company, they're all about, good, about values. Like they're very by the book, and I really like Dave, the owner, super straight up guy, like really cares about quality material. They're the only company, like if you look really close, you notice that this is the only company that has the rights to use DuPont sourced Kevlar. Like,
the Kevlar.
And can say it.
Yeah,
the Kevlar, not like other brands doing whatever. So this is DuPont Kevlar. But as such, you get the DuPont Kevlar price tag. So the Katana is $200 or $220, something like that. It's over $200. I imagine they have like some sort of discount going, like 10% or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but there are some changes that happen. So feel the handle on that one. You feel the edges. Like you can feel
they're
the
very
polypropylene.
pronounced.
Yeah.
And
that's what I told him after last time. And I doubt it's because what I said, but now that was a Gen 1. Now the Katana, same name, is a thermoform paddle. So if you feel the handle in that, at least the edge of it. So
we got different opinions on the handle in this.
Well,
one,
I'll just say it's not a Gen 1. You don't feel the polypropylene anymore.
No.
So there's that. And you can almost kind of see, I don't know what it is, I was pointing out to you earlier. You can see kind of a square shape.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it
face.
picks it up on camera, but there is like a square rectangle shape.
I don't know what that is.
It kind of like goes.
You'd almost wonder if that was fiberglass, like a fiberglass layer of something. But anyways.
So this is Gen 2? This is thermoformed?
Yeah. I looked it up to confirm because we weren't sure on how it played today.
Yeah.
So if we start with the Katana, I actually was not thinking it was thermoform, and I thought they put inserts in the handle because it plays really soft.
It's super soft.
It doesn't have like a ton of power, but that's not always inherently bad.
No,
if you want a control paddle. The face feels really good. I think it's got a very pleasant feel.
It's right up our alley.
Yeah.
It's that nice plush feel. Not a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking it was Gen 1 as well.
Yeah.
Like it's very soft.
Yeah, not like a Paddletech or Engage type, like Poppy Gen 1, but like a nice, you feel it, but it feels plush. It absorbs. It doesn't it's not stiff.
Yeah.
Like it feels good. But you'll hear this again here in a second. The big hang up though with the Katana, not as much as the Fury 14, is still the handle though.
Yep. Just a different problem this time.
Yeah.
Which is this part right here is like really flat and it's almost elongated along.
It's like super wide.
Yeah, it's very wide. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
You're just like, what?
It is. It doesn't feel like any other normal grip and handle.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It threw my hand off a lot when I was playing with it because eventually, like, I don't know if I was holding the paddle too tight or what, but like I would indent a little bit. I don't know if it was from me like overcompensating because I felt like the paddle was going to slip out of my hand or what. But
yeah, we got the weird handle in the purist's hands now.
Yes, exactly. And me and this handle, we don't get along very well. I love the way the ball feels on the face of this. I love that soft plush feel, but I just could not get past the handle. I also, like, you could have convinced me that this is not thermoformed because I didn't get much power or pop at all on this. Like, this is very much a control-oriented paddle.
Maybe slightly more power and pop than the original Katana, but not a ton.
Yeah.
It still is in that control-oriented category for sure.
I'd say it's firmly in control category. And very nice, pleasant feel. I was able to just kind of put the ball where I wanted it to, just not very hard.
Yeah. I think it looks nice. It's very pretty. But if it weren't for the handle, there would also be the hang up again of the price tag. I'm not sure, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I know Komodo really cares about having really quality, legit materials, but I don't know if people also, like the consumer, cares.
Yeah. If
they care enough to pay an extra $100 for it. You know what I mean? To have the DuPont name on it. So for $220, if you take, let's say we even took 15% off and we did, what is that, like $33?
$190. We'll just say $190.
Yeah, we'll say $190. Yeah. Around $190. Like, I don't think I could justify it. I couldn't do it.
Not with what's out there now.
Yeah, even like $100 is like, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe $100.
But $100, $120. I think that's a fine paddle. It's almost like a what is the one from Vatic? The Prism Flash, the $100 like super soft Gen 1 paddle. Yeah. It's kind of like would fit that niche area, the more control oriented soft.
Yeah.
But at twice the price, and you're not getting a ton of it. ton of power or anything. Like there's already quite a few soft playing paddles in that category, and at $100-$120. And yeah, this is thermoform, but I didn't really get a lot of the benefits that you typically expect from thermoforming, the increased power, the increased pop.
You didn't get the stiffness of it, so maybe it's like one of those kind of almost Gen 1.5-ish, like lightly thermoform, but you can go the wrong way, I think, sometimes with paying too much for materials.
Yeah.
And then, you know, passing that cost on, which I think happened here.
Yeah. I think if paddles lasted for a year, 2 years, and they were less like consumable than they are now, I think the dedication to like the higher quality components would be more picked up by the market.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's just at this point kind of accepted like the lifespan of a paddle is,
unfortunately so,
whatever, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year if you're not a heavy hitter and you don't play a ton.
If you don't care.
Yeah, if you don't
about
care.
certain things that wear out.
Yeah.
So that's the Katana. We've got the Fury. So we've got the Fury 14 and 16. And, you know, the overwhelming thought... So there are pros to this, but really, it's hard to get over the handle again. The
same handle,
the 14 in particular, because it follows kind of the same shape pattern as the Katana, except for in 14, it gets more narrow, like front to back, but then it stays the same width. Yeah, so then you've got this very, very strange... you know, rectangular grip.
It like stretches your fingers out or something. Like your fingers are you can't get around it as good.
It was almost impossible for me to hold a consistent continental grip.
Yeah.
Where like I'm trying to hold like on the like diagonal there. Like I couldn't do it because it would want to be like it would fall into that whatever you'd call that next, the Eastern grip or whatever. Eastern, Western, whatever. Either of those would be easier if you could get on one side or the other, but you can't hold it right. Yeah. Or at least I couldn't. And maybe if you were like a person who held it at full Eastern or something, it would be fine. Because the pros here, I thought it was very soft still, even though the Fury 14 is thermoformed. And by the way, you know, I did talk a little bit with Dave. On the website, they call it Gen 3.
Yeah, that was confusing.
It's a bit of a misnomer, and I know there's different terminology out there, but I think as far as if you're going to talk about industry standard, Gen 3 implies a little bit of like foam enhancement in some degree.
Yeah.
This is just a thermal
for better or worse, some type of foam enhancement.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like I don't fault him again. I give Dave like a lot of grace. I think a lot of the guys, so I don't think he necessarily meant to like deceive anybody. And he was like very forthright. He's like, oh, by your definition, this would be Gen 2.
Yeah.
So cool. That's fine. And this, in contrast to the Katana, only sells for like $130, $135 before discount code. So great price. And I honestly could recommend either the 14 or 16 if we could just fix the weird handle. Yeah.
Fix the handle.
Yeah, the face is really nice. I like the look of the better looking blue as opposed to the red.
The blue's nice. Yeah. But it's a 14 millimeters. That's the only thing.
Do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, so basically I thought the Fury 14 and 16, I was more of a fan of the 16, as I usually am of most paddles. I thought they played with a little bit more power, a little bit more pop than the Katana. They weren't quite as soft as the Katana, but still pretty soft. The ball felt nice when it came off. It felt nice and plush coming off. I think I would have been a much bigger fan of it if I could get past the grip, but I don't think I can get past the grip, because what you were saying is like you would hold it in Continental, but then you change grips and you couldn't like get back to Continental, or you try to go to Eastern and you couldn't get back. I didn't have as much of a problem with that. I just had an issue with like I'm so used to my fingers and my palm being in the same position on a grip, you know, like not like the same position it stays in this all the time, but like if I go from a Pickleball Apes to a Yola to a whatever, I'm holding it the same kind of way, and it feels the same, right? At least the part of the handle and grip that I'm holding. This one and the other, the Furies,
prevents your normal grip.
It just makes it feel uncomfortable, and I'm thinking about my grip too much. So like, maybe if I only played with these paddles, I'd get used to it. But I think it's just too far of a departure from what most people are used to playing with to not cause an issue.
We talked one time about the paddle. The right paddle for a person is probably the paddle that allows them to get to the flow state easier, where you're not thinking about things, you're just playing. And you can play well without having to think like, okay, don't swing too hard, or don't be too grippy, or don't whatever. Like, and when you're thinking about the grip all the time, it creates a significant barrier that prevents you from doing that. Yeah. So, for those reasons, even though, and we're in a market today that like you do have to split hairs. I know it's kind of a big hair when you're competing against like the super courts and the jelly beans of the world, and the like even right there, like the Pickle and Electro, I could look at the wall, the C2, and name like a dozen $100 paddles that have their pros and cons, and we have to split hairs there. And when you have a large thing like that, it's just like you just can't do that. Yeah. So if they could change that, which maybe we'll see in the future. Maybe. And, I commend them for trying something different as well. Yeah. Like, maybe that grip feels good to the people that test it, or the designers. And true. Maybe it's not an accident, or maybe it's whatever. Yeah, maybe we're the weird ones. Maybe, maybe we should just stop shitting on the Komodo handle. Maybe this was for the full Eastern guys or whatever. Maybe this is for lefties. Oh, maybe. Freaking maybe. This is for the lefties. For the lefties. Lefties? Good gravy. Okay, I don't think that you hit these ones yet, but I did get myself a couple of the Metalbones from Adidas. Everybody's heard about these at this point. So you've got I don't even remember the naming system is so weird, but like LP something. Yes, this one I think is the LP Team 16 millimeter, and then this one I believe, if I'm looking at it right, is the LPS. So the S, at least the one that I have, is the one with the the adjustable screws. Yeah, the adjustable screws that are in the top and bottom, and then the other one doesn't. But these have the full EVA foam cores and whatever. I would say, so we were talking before, like, here, I'll let you hold that one. The construction of these, like, just feeling them, like, they feel super solid. They do. So like it kind of feels good. You grab it and you're like, oh dang, like that's nice. The handle is clearly well made. I'm curious what you think of the grip. It doesn't affect me that much. It's not a really pronounced perforated grip. Okay. Yeah, this one doesn't bother me. It's when it's kind of raised up. Yeah. That's when I have issue with it. It's got perforations in it at some points, and it's mildly squishy. Yeah. I wondered what Brent would think, but it actually I think it feels really good. I don't mind it. And kind of like what you were saying with the new Wilson paddles, it's got like a tennis racket throat. Yeah, exactly. There. And it doesn't feel like cheap. It doesn't feel shitty like a toy. It feels like holding it feels really good. So you think like when you go hit it, you're like, dang, this is like a robust thing. Is this a 16.5? Is this an elongated, or is it hybrid? To be honest, I don't even... The throat part is throwing me off. Like, it's probably elongated, but just having that giant hole right there, it makes it... Yeah, not sure, to be honest. Yeah, it's almost like a standard face. It does look like a standard face. General length this is, to be fair. But I think, it's simple enough to say that what everybody has been saying so far, what most reviewers have been saying so far is pretty accurate. Like, I can see why Fed had to go back to his 3S for a little while. I think they have one in the works for him, but they both have really small sweet spots. Mm-hmm. When you connect with the sweet spot, they fly. Like, they hit really hard, but it's like a very sudden drop off. Like a lot of edgeless paddles, only for whatever reason, like it's pretty pronounced. The one with screws hit a little harder for me, and that makes sense. I got both of these brand new, so it's not like it was more broken in than the other one. Is it because it's heavier? Like, did you dial in the weight? Like, I didn't adjust them, but it does feel a little more head heavy than this non, whatever. Yeah, the non-screw one. So to me, it could be just like, basic physics and force and whatever, but they hit hard as shit. When you hit the sweet spot. If you hit the sweet spot, they probably would. Is it like they may be the most ripple powerful level? It feels very comparable, like in that way, except for the ripple has a really wasn't a huge dwell time, but you could feel it like you could feel compressed. Spring. Yeah. You don't feel the compression quite as much with this, but it does hit very hard. But yeah, you'll be buying a paddle with a small sweet spot. You know that, and it hits freaking hard. I ordered these, or I bought these from a friend myself. Is they when I couldn't go to the event, they're like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, things come up, we'll be in touch, or like we'll get you these paddles. And then I've like sent multiple emails,
Just
and they're
ghosted
like, no,
we don't want any more reviews.
Don't put out any reviews. And I mean, people are busy, so I'm half kidding, but I'm half not kidding. Like it's true, like what they say. So, I mean, maybe if you can hit the middle there, but they're like $200 plus for every model. Link in the description can get 10% off. That's all.
Okay. Maybe I should hit with them since I, hit the same spot
Brent's full
pretty
of shit.
consistently.
Brent's full of shit. He needs a sweet spot in the same spot every time. And like, what's the excuse next week gonna be? Oh, if you beat me with this, then I'll freaking my elongated Volair versus you in that, and then we'll be talking. Okay, should we move on? Let's do. Oh yeah, so I'm really excited for these actually. These have been out for a while. And I just barely got these for us, for Brent and I, and that's my bad. These guys reached out a long time ago, and it just kind of got lost in this stuff, so that's on me. But nonetheless, I'm excited to talk about these pros and cons, of course.
Yeah.
But we have the Gherkins. We've got the Gherkin Hybrid Nightshade and the Gherkin Elongated Nightshade. And this isn't by no means their first paddle. They had those, previous silicone, whatever paddles before this. I haven't hit those, but these are both 14 millimeters thick, so they're thinner paddles. But they have a 10 millimeter cell size. That's not very common. There are some that have it, like I believe the 𝒂𝒊𝒏 were like that, and with being thermoformed, by the way, because your engages and your paddle ticks and whatever, they've got the same thickness at the 10 millimeters, but with the thermoforming and whatever, there's not a ton. There are some. And not only whatever do they have with this, they feel really good, and they sell for $135, which I didn't know
really
before
good price point,
I talked to them about this, and that's before codes. So you can stack codes on for, I imagine, another 10%.
Wow.
And they look like this.
Yeah.
Which
they look really awesome.
Look pretty badass.
Yeah, they do.
I really like. I don't think that the cameras do them justice. They look really good with the purple and the black. Like they did a good job with that.
They did. Yeah, I like the fade that they got going on the edge guard too, where it starts like blue and then goes purple and then goes back blue. It's just a sharp looking paddle.
Yeah.
Like no matter how you look at it, it's unique. It's not just lost in the sea of black paddles with a white edge guard or vice versa.
Which I like.
I like that too.
I like those, for sure.
But it's nice to have something that pops like this as well.
We do have cons, but
yeah,
dang, these are cool. I think these are really cool. So go on, Brent. Anything else?
I mostly hit with the elongated today, mainly because Dustin was hogging the hybrid. But
I was kicking ass with the hybrid, like all the other paddles we talked about.
I'm looking at the ball dust pattern. It's definitely Dustin's ball
That's
dust pattern.
That was Brent's actually.
You see the whole face is ball dust.
That's ridiculous.
Pretty much.
That's from Brent. I was going back and forth between the weird Volair shapes.
I mean, you're paying for the whole face, so I guess you may as well use it all. You know,
what a sweet spot on these.
So yeah, it's no secret that me and 14 millimeter paddles typically don't get along very well, and these are both 14 millimeters. However, I think that combination of the larger core size, the cell sizes in the core, those are nice. Kind of softens it up a little bit. So while yes, it is 14, to me it plays thicker than a 14. The feel off of it is not as harsh or like immediate launch off of it. It feels like there's a little bit of dwell for a 14, right? It's not like sinking in like a Perseus or something or a Mark 1.
Yeah. Or Mark, sorry, not Mark 1, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. It's not sinking in like that, but it's not like, I'll contrast it with like the 𝒄𝒄𝒏. I feel like the 𝒄𝒄𝒏 14 millimeter, the ball kind of hits and then just immediately goes off. There's not a ton of dwell, at least, and maybe when it breaks in, it gets a little more dwell. But
a little.
Out of the box, it's still pretty low. And so that, like the 𝒄𝒄𝒏, low dwell, low launch angle. This, in contrast, while it is 14 millimeters, it feels like it does grab the ball and sink in just a little. The launch angle, yes, is lower than a 16 millimeter paddle, but not as pronounced as like the 𝒄𝒄𝒏 launch angle. Even the 16 millimeter 𝒄𝒄𝒏 felt like it had less dwell and a lower launch angle than these 14s.
I agree. Yeah.
And that could, I'm not sure why. Maybe that is the cell size.
Huh? Yes. Oh, why you felt that way? Because it was true. Why it does that, I don't know.
Why it does that,
yes. Who knows?
So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with these. Again, I hit mostly the elongated because Dustin guarded the hybrid all day.
I hit them both. Well. It's all.
But for the elongated, I did end up adding 0.2 of lead. So 0.1, yeah, you can see it right there. It's just a little strip there between
here and here.
Yeah, just under the 3 and 9 position. And I thought that stabilized it just enough for me. Mm-hmm. I thought out of the box it wasn't bad for stability.
Yeah,
and plow through power
for an elongated 14.
For elongated 14, I know, very surprised.
Very weird.
So adding that weight did kind of shore it up a bit.
Yeah.
I think I need to hit it a little bit more to get more of a feel of like the power and plow through on it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was lacking. I just didn't hit a lot of balls.
Yeah.
But we played a lot of games at the net with that.
Yeah.
I had pretty good control. It wasn't too poppy and leading me to pop things up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, overall, pleasantly surprised. And then when you told me it was 135 before codes, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just a good value. Like if you said these were like 200, before codes, I would believe you, and you'd be like, man, like it's like when would I do it or not do it versus some other paddles. And then when you talk about the price, it's like, whoa, dang, like that's really nice.
Exactly.
For our beer games, the hybrid was my
this was Dustin's
as Brent
weapon
freaking alluded to. That was my favorite of the day that I used. And the elongated was my sub, and I didn't use it. What? No,
look at that. Look, that's
ridiculous.
Significant. I don't know if y'all can see significant ball dust.
This is a significant part of testing a paddle.
You need to see how it reacts.
You must
to
do
balls
that.
down there.
If you only hit one spot on a paddle, are you even testing it? Like, do you even know what the sweet spot is?
That's true. It looked like you were very thorough in testing this
Brent's
paddle.
like, I need a very top, stable paddle or whatever. He doesn't know what the bottom logo feels like.
I don't. You can look at my paddles. There's nowhere below this line right there.
In an unrelated note, you can take an eraser before filming or taking pictures and erase around the circle.
You can.
But anyways, yeah, I think when I hit them, that was my very, very first thought is for a 14, they feel very dense. They feel very full, which is strange considering it's a 10 millimeter. I would think 6 millimeter cell size with 8 being standard, 6 being small, more plastic, more dense, like the Neonic Flare Prime X or the OG Super or OG Chorus Super Quartz or that the even the Proton Flamingo was 6 millimeter. They all feel dense.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking. This feels dense even though it's 10 millimeters.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but it's thermoform too, so I don't know. It makes it feel more full. It kind of reminded me of a Spartus Olympus, except for less heavy, less power, less pop and power. These fall in the Encore category.
They
for
do.
Me. They're super balanced, ultra stable for their given thickness. And all in all, they played well. I do think I would probably weight them up a little just to give myself to bump up the power a little bit, but I played all day with them both stock until Brent freaking threw weights on this. I didn't freaking ask, I bet. Look at that ball pattern of Brent all freaking over the place. Goodness.
Where it doesn't go below the center line.
Freaking on the edge guard, I bet. But anyways, for the price, these are a top 5 all-court paddle, in my opinion. In a short list, in the running for one of the best. And I think some people probably consider it the best all-court, and especially considering the price.
I think the price definitely puts it. It raises it at least a couple of notches.
The value is really good. Even if you didn't think about price, it would be in consideration.
Yes.
And then you think about price, and you're like, yeah, for sure. It's hard. I can't think of a. Yeah, it's hard not to recommend.
Yeah, and I mean the handle length is long enough where you can pretty easily get 2 hands on it. Even with my bigger hands, I can get 2 hands without having to overlap them.
Yeah.
Again, pleasantly surprised with that.
Solid paddles.
That paddle, yeah.
Thanks for those, Gherkin. Just well constructed. Also, I didn't mention they have polyurethane inserts in the handle. You feel like, as opposed to the weird Volair ones that are ultra squishy, they're very holding. So super quality. quality handles there. So
just a good, nice, firm grip. That's what I want. Just
well done, my friends.
Flat.
Well done on that. Okay, we have one more paddle. We were told not to show this, but I'm going to show it anyways.
Breaking the law.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm going to blur that out.
Okay.
But
I was like, okay.
So Brent's like, what the hell? It's not my podcast.
We said we weren't, but okay.
They didn't send it to me. No, those will be probably for next week.
Okay.
But that is something to look forward to.
I was very surprised when you pulled those out of the courts today. I was like, is that and you were like, yeah.
It is that. Yeah, but more than you think. If anybody can guess what that is.
I think they can. Like, it depends on how much you blur.
I'm going to blur all of it. Nobody's going to see any of it.
Yeah,
but I think, oh man, this is going to be an interesting one.
It is.
Man, this is going to be an interesting one. And what to do about it, like as far as like what content to create or what work. This is a whole bag of interesting things. So if you have any guesses as to what our secret paddle, hopefully for next week is.
Hopefully.
Throw your guesses in the comments.
As long as we get the okay to share it without blurring it out.
I'll blur it again next week.
Yes, You're just going to keep sharing it and blurring it.
Okay, guys.
The amount of blur gets less and less every time.
Just like the colors start showing through.
You just wave it really fast in front of the camera.
You can tell this is X thickness and this is X length and like. Okay, well, thanks. We have now made it through 14 episodes.
Oh, wow. Are we already? That may be like our quickest run through.
We're freaking lightning.
Wow.
We've got God, what did we do? Like 50 paddles today?
We did a lot of paddles today.
And we did wide bodies, we did elongateds, we
did
extra
wide bodies.
elongateds. Yeah. Brent doesn't do wide bodies. Sorry, guys.
If it's a special wide body, I will grace it with playing with it. But
if we're talking about bang for your buck here,
I
will cover the shapes.
Dustin will cover it all and the entire paddle face. He will cover it all.
That's too far, Brent. That is too freaking far. Anyways, good gravy. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching the episode. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one.